definitely a first fun question and then jump into some other stuff, which is when Superman loses his powers in part two, how does he get back to civilization with Lois?
Oh, he caught a cab. Uh, oh, good question.
I
They
figured,
hitchhiked.
well, I mean, I figured, they're in the middle of nowhere. I mean, I just want to
You
have
know,
fun
there
with
was a
that.
diner.
There was.
You mean when? Wait a minute. When he gives up his? Oh, I see. When he gave it up at the Fortress of Solitude.
Exactly.
Oh, well, you'll have to go and see this to see the answer. It's because in this right now. Okay. Wow.
At least I stumped you on that one.
Well, you know what? When I was first starting in the business, I have a niece, and she was really a little kid, and I used to do the Steve McQueen Wanted Dead or Alive, and she was watching it with us. And at the end of it, she said, "When do cowboys go to the bathroom?" And I said, "During commercials." And so that's when they during the dissolve.
I understand.
Dissolve save everybody.
Um,
Voiceovers and dissolve save directors.
being honest for a second, the first Superman movie is one of my favorite films of all time. It truly is really cool to talk to you today about Superman and
It's
Superman.
cool to have a guy that talking about it that has that attitude too.
No, I love the first
Thank
Superman. I definitely want to know when you look back, because I've done a lot of research before sitting down today, and I know about everything, well, a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes. When you look back on Superman, do you see the issues you had to deal with, or do you see like the great first film?
Well, no, I don't see issues anymore. I never see issues again. Even the minute it's over, it's gone. Issues have to disappear. I mean, they will come up in conversation, but they get out of your head. When I look at when I look at Superman, which is rare, or every once in a while it'll come up on TV and somebody will call and say it's on channel something, and I don't look. But if I'm flashing around, there it is. I'll look at it. I still would like to reshoot it. I mean, that was a long time ago. It was really only my second important film. It was Following the Omen, and it was under tremendous duress to get things done, and it was very difficult shoot. Plus, it was Marlon fucking Brando, if you'll pardon the expression, and my heart would skip when he'd walk on stage. And Gene Hackman, I mean, and this incredible English guy. I was awestruck, and I had a lot of problems with the fiduciary of the producers who didn't see eye to eye with me, and so even to this day, if I look at that movie, I enjoy it. I don't remember the problems. I remember I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done that.
Well, one of the things that's so exceptional about the film is the look of the film, the effects at the time. Could you sort of talk about managing to, because the original poster, which is such an iconic poster,
You'll believe Man of
exactly, that was everything. If you don't believe he can fly, the movie doesn't work. It's sort of like nowadays with CGI. If the CGI looks like shit, you don't buy into the movie.
But nowadays, if you want to make a man fly through himself, just say, "Hey, you guys, make a man fly through himself." Whatever. I mean, it's a cinch. It's a snap. It's easy. And then if you spend a little more money, you can make it perfect. If you don't, you're going to have a critique on it. Not good critique. I'm sorry.
Oh, I just wanted to know, do you remember the moment you saw the first footage?
Yes.
That when Reeve was flying and you're like, oh my God, this is going to work.
Yes. Yes. Let me tell you this. When I came on board, this picture, it had been under pre-production for 2 years. And they said, we have got the flying down to a bit. I said, oh, let's run it. It was Superman on a board with 4 wires flying. I said, you're out of your minds. You can't do this. This is the age of motion pictures, and if you're going to convince an audience, the most important thing we have to do is 2 things. One, we got to convince the audience a man can fly, which became a motto of the logo. And we had to convince everybody it's a love story. And we tried everything known to mankind. I had a flying unit that was on for a year before we accepted the first rear projection flying shot. And that was, it was near impossible. But we did a physical flying shot at Shepperton Studios, separate from Pinewood, where I had been rigging this thing with these guys and to see if I could make a physical flying shot work, not with process. Now you do it with computers. We had background where you'd project the screen behind us, and it would be rephotographed. So if I were, it would be me flying, and behind me on the screen would be Manhattan, Metropolis, and if I wanted to roll, the camera would roll, not Chris. So the camera would turn, but the background had a counter turn to make it so that it had to be a very special machine where the rear projection machine could be independent, the camera itself could be independent. They both had zoom lenses that had to be synchronized. And this was before computers. It was crazy. But back to your question. But so one afternoon at the end of the day, the flying unit said to me, "Come on over to Shepherd, and I think we got something to show you." And it was this big Fortress of Solitude set. And we were all there, and Chris was way down on the end and being hooked up on wires and everything. And I was very doubtful. We were way down. It was a really big stage, the biggest stage we could get. And they started to fill the stage with some atmospheric smoke, so that would take the onus off the wires and you wouldn't see it. And they said to me, "Are you ready?" I said, "I'm ready. Are you guys ready?" They said, "Yeah." They said, "Okay, roll the camera." And they rolled the camera, and they said, "Chris?" He says, "Yeah, okay." And Chris came off that, now you're getting me emotional, but he's gone. I wish to God he wasn't. And he came off that thing, and he flew at the lens all the way down, and the lens was zooming back with him as he came. And he came up to the very end, and he banked. And he actually banked his body and rolled out. And everybody just stood there frozen. And there was both tears and cheers, and we saw it the next day and I said, "We got it. We won. We know where to go now." It was magic. Very emotional.
Another thing that's really cool is I know a number of years ago they found like 6 tons of stuff in England, you know, with all the footage that they had shot back.
Oh, yeah.
You guys had shot back in the day. What was your reaction when you first heard they found all this footage, all this stuff, all the original elements that you guys had used? Could you sort of talk about when you heard that and, you know, the fact that they asked you to be back involved and do your cut of the second one?
Well, I never thought I would ever see my cut of the second one. When they finished the second one, they had to, by director's agreement, show it to me and give me the option of having my name on it. And I saw it, and I said didn't want my name on it because it had become a parody on a parody. It had become a joke on a joke, which we had tried very hard to eliminate, in my mind. And so I took my name off, and I figured that's it. You know, that's going to go out there, and I'll never see mine, and nobody's going to care. And then shortly after, 25 years, Michael Thaw, a very wonderful young producer, director, writer, called me, editor, and he said, "Listen, there's really kind of like a fan groundswell that wants to see your cut." I said, "No, you're crazy." He said, "No, I'm telling you." So I said, "Well, let's see if anything happens." And well, sure enough, they pressured the studio, Michael pressured the studio, and they said, "Yeah, would you like to do your cut?" I said, "Hell yeah." I should have negotiated a price with them first, which I learned my lesson with Warner Brothers. Don't ever do anything free, or don't anything do from your heart, because they'll kill you. And a lawyer here. And so anyway, Michael went over to England, and Warner sent him over. And he dug up all this footage, but of course so much of it was never shot. And so many of our scenes that I had shot and that they had thrown out, we put back in. But scenes that they never shot because they didn't like my script were only in screen tests of Margot and Christopher. One was for Margot and one was for Christopher, both with different people. And once with Christopher. So we had to cut together screen tests and put them in the picture, which are there. So to answer your question, I never thought it would happen. I was thrilled it did. Probably almost more thrilled than, a little more thrilling to me than the original, because this thing had been laying in cans, as you say, in England for 25 years.
Totally. I have to wrap with you, but real quick, what's going on with the Broadway thing? Last time I spoke to you, you mentioned Dave and other stuff.
Well, Dave is really moving fast. We were in there with Lauren and I, and she heard some of the music in the book, and it's sensational. And Goonies is moving at the beginning stages, like a year before Dave. We're We're getting good outlines and good story from Tim. Oh shit, this is terrible. Wonderful writer. And I'd say hopefully we'll have a good screen, maybe by the middle of this year, around September, October, we'll have a script that we can go to from there. It's a long process, Broadway. It's amazing. It's frightening in a strange way. But we only get great reactions from everybody. Everybody wants to see it. It seems like a great idea, and we'll persevere. Musical of Goonies on Broadway, but it's got to be irreverent, and it's got to be Goonies. We can't, they're talking, a lot of people pushing it, well, rewrite it, do it for adults. And I said, no. Adults go to see Goonies, but it's got to be, anyway, it's a bitch.
No, I understand. I have to wrap with you. She'll kill me. So thank you so much.